You probably think Taoism is just a philosophy, something about not trying, going with the flow, and being chill. But Taoism in China didn't stay a philosophy. Over 2,000 years, it evolved into a full religion, a lifestyle, a medical system, and even witchcraft. And the craziest part is it never really left. Right now, today, it is hiding inside your computer, your garments, and your late-night Reddit rabbit holes, influencing the whole world in secret. But here, WH and Wu's here, and let's go through them, from the obvious to the absolutely unhinged one. Let's start with something you're using every day right now. Your phone and computer. Every file you work on, every video you watch, every message you've sent, all of it runs on binary code, ones and zeros. It is the simplest and most stable way for chips to process reality, and now has become the most fundamental language of the digital age. Now, who invented binary? Most people say Leibniz, German mathematician. Correct. But here is the part they leave out of your computer science textbook. Leibniz himself wrote in his own papers that he found the perfect alignment with his work in the I Ching, the Book of Changes. He explicitly credited this ancient Chinese text for validating his binary arithmetic to the word. So, what is this book about? An ancient Chinese text rooted in Taoist cosmology, built entirely on a system of broken and solid lines, yin and yang, that maps perfectly onto 0 and 1. By stacking these horizontal lines, we have 8 trigrams, 八卦, and 64 hexagrams, 64卦 of I Ching. They are essentially a 3-bit or 6-bit logic system drawn 2,000 years before electricity existed. Each of them have independent meaning. For example, number 11, 否卦, stagnation, sky goes up, ground goes down. 2 kinds of energy is separating, making the world a stubborn and solidified one. And the last one, number 64, 未济卦, before completion, fire goes up, water goes down. Fire couldn't be put down by the water. The whole cycle is not finished. So the interplay of yin and yang, we could have literally infinite possibilities. Taoism calls it 三生万物, 3 begets everything. Modern words called binary, based on which we start from computer all the way to AI, embodied intelligence, and even something more. Quick one. You've seen the South Korean flag, right? The one with red and blue yin-yang symbol in the center, and 4 black trigrams in the corners. Yeah, South Korea puts famous Taoist symbol on the national flag. And it was even reviewed by a Chinese and a British. Ancient Korea didn't have an official national flag, which was a big problem, for national flag is essential when the country is signing treaties with others. So before signing one treaty, Korean diplomats urgently designed a white flag of red and blue yin-yang, and the Chinese diplomat Ma Jianzhong revealed that 外周用八卦则恰合八道之术. Deploying the 8 trigrams around the border and precisely aligns with 8 provinces of Korea. And the British Captain James commented that, while the blueprint of yin-yang and 8 trigrams is remarkably brilliant, the distribution of all 8 trigrams appears dense and chaotic on the sea. It's advised instead of utilize a refined set of 4 trigrams, engraving them onto the 4 corners for a far superior effect. And Korean politician Park Yong-hyo took it, designed the first national flag of Korea. By the way, all the records I cite here are from Korean official or personal documents of mentioned diplomats or politicians, but according to South Korea's current accountant, the flag was totally designed by Gojong, Korean emperor then, just choose the original light to believe. Back to those trigrams, Qian, Kun, Kan, Li, representing heaven, earth, water, and fire, are straight out of Taoist cosmology, specifically from I Ching, symbolizing the infinite and bright spirits of Korean nation. Do you know who invented gunpowder? Chinese Taoist alchemists in the 19th century Tang Dynasty. But originally, they weren't trying to make weapons. they were trying to achieve immortality by handmade elixir. This is a division of Taoism called 外丹术, outer alchemy, consumed immortal but toxic heavy metals, hoping to absorb internal properties and hack the way to immortality. That's Chinese philosophy, shape for shape, nature for nature. But basically, what they were doing was just mixing sulfur, charcoal, saltpeter, and all kinds of colored stones in all kinds of possible ways. And one day, someone's lab blew up. The Tang Dynasty outer alchemy classic work 真元妙道要略 literally warns other alchemists. Someone had heated together sulfur, ruga, and saltpeter with honey. Smoke and flames result, so that the hands, faces, and houses have been burnt. In other words, the first gunpowder recipe came with a product recall. The pursuit of immortality gives words its most efficient tool for the opposite. This is really a good metaphor. Better way, have these crazy guys found immortal elixir? They did invented something called immortal elixir, but function was only to make many emperors who take it instantly mortal. After all, don't forget, it contains crazy amounts of heavy metal. And gunpowder is not only a byproduct of outer alchemy. Silicon Valley's current obsession, microdosing, psilocybin, ayahuasca, retreats at $3,000 a weekend. CEOs flying to Peru to start selling and found themselves. The emerging tech elite has decided that the path to enlightenment runs through your brand chemistry. Congratulations, you are about 1400 years later than China magazine. In the Wei Jing period, roughly 3rd century to 6th century AD, Taoist alchemists developed a substance called 50散, 5-marrow powder. A compound of arsenic, sulfur, and other minerals that caused intense body heat, hallucinations, and altered states of consciousness. It's not a subcultural trend, but a popular thing among generations of elites then. People would take it, strip off the robes, and wander in the wilderness because of the fever it brings. The craziest one, Ranji, will get up at deep night and play Ching, or drive the carriage along to the path end and cry out loud. All these things are still famous in China, and all the behaviors are believed to have something to do with 50散. Because it's very expensive, people who can't afford it even pretend to take it and behave like being tortured by the fever. Here's a real story recorded 1400 years ago. One day, a man lied down right outside the city market gate, rolling around on the ground and groaning about unbearable heat. Surprised by this behavior, his companion asked what was wrong. The man replied, "Myro powder fever." The companion questioned, "When did you ever take it?" The man answered, "Yesterday I bought some rice from the market, and there were small miros mixed in it, and now comes the fever." The entire crowd burst into laughter. Hilarious as it was, because of the heavy metal it contains. Many people did die from it. Finally, Chinese realized it was actually a kind of drug and banned all the formulas. But elites chasing mental pleasure mode is still happening over and over again. Quick detour into horror. You may know zombies, Walking Dead, slow, shambling, brainless. China has its own version, the Jiangshi, hopping dead, and good at kung fu. The subgenre was originally derived from Hong Kong action movie. When it comes to kung fu star, you may only know about Jackie Chan, but in Hong Kong then, the competition was with much more players. In 1993, more than 60% of Hong Kong movies were action movies. To win that market, more and more subgenres were coming up. For example, Jackie Chan led the genre of kung fu comedy, and Jiangshi genre is kung fu comedy with traditional horror. First of all, it was just some games invented by martial artists or stunting men. After all, they didn't have TikTok then, but just an energetic body. All they could do was play some physical pranks, including hoping to chase, and holding breath to hide. That led to the idea of the first Jiangshi movies. Hopping Jiangshi navigate by breath. If you hold your breathing, they can't find you. And then more settings had been added up. Like, they are stopped not by headshots, but the Taoist ritual. Yellow paper talismans stuck to their forehead. Pictured swords, spells from Taoist priests. That subgenre was glorious once, but don't have any brilliant works nowadays. My Date with a Vampire and Roger Modis are usually viewed as the end of that golden age. Inspired by whispering kimono robes, Chinese designers started to look back on classic shoes. Chinese Taoist robe. That's what Taoists were. A new wave of Chinese streetwear neighbors are running 16th century Ming Dynasty patterns on heavyweight denim and tech nylon, flowing fabric, minimalist, easy tones. Some choose Taoist robe for its cool and unique, some for its cozy, but whatever, there's a subcultural echo in fashion from 3,000 years ago. Foreigners are more occultism. I want to tell you something that happened to me when I was a kid. I got scared by something. I don't remember what it is, but after that, I had a continuous fever. For 2 weeks straight, doctors couldn't figure it out. Medication didn't work either. So my parents got a woman, a folk healer, a 神婆, what you might call a village witch doctor. She didn't prescribe anything, because what I was going through is losing soul, 丢魂, and she gave instructions on calling soul, 叫魂. Take the piece of clothing your child wears most and clothe it, unwashed, usually underwears. Put it under his pillow, have him lay on it. Then every night, stand at the closed front door and call his name. And the kid should answer, I'm back. The key is that everyone needs to hear each other to continue. Do this 3 times every night for a week. And she said, if even once someone doesn't answer or ask, the child will die. So every night for a week, my parents stood at the door in dark, calling my name, and every night I answered. And after a week, the fever broke. I'm not here to tell you what caused that. I'm here to tell you that this practice of soul calling has existed in China for over 2,000 years, and is still happening today. Here's a Taoist theory behind it. Taoism holds that every human being has 三魂七魄, 3 souls and 7 spirits. The souls are young, mobile, spiritual. Spirits are in anchored to the body. Adults have these relatives settled, but children, the 3 souls and 7 spirits, are still loose, still finding the configuration, and the sudden threats, a fall, a shock, a loud sound, can literally dislodge one. The result, a fever, listlessness, crying without reason, night terrors. The child is here, but not quite there. The soul has wandered, and someone, usually its parents, will call it back. How you call it back depends on where in China you are. In Nanjing, take the child back to the place where the fright happened. The mother calls the name softly while weighing her hand. The father holds the child's clothing out in the air, wraps it closed, and declares, he's back. Apparently the soul is now inside his jacket. In Shanghai and Kunshan, wrote the child's birth date and the time on the red paper. Place it on the stove with a bio folder and license on both sides. The stove guard is now involved. This is a group effort. In northern China, open the front door, mother calls, father responds from inside. Close the door quickly. Apparently, souls are like cats. If you leave the door open too long, something else might come in. In some areas, they put a bowl of rice on the bed. After a few nights of soul calling, it's said that the rice will decrease with no one else touching it. The practice of soul calling 叫魂 has been documented since at least the Warring States period, around 300 years BC. The 楚辞, Sons of the South, contains a poem called 招魂, summoning the soul, describing exactly this, calling a wandered soul back from the four directions, warning it that east, south, west, and north all hold dangers. And this Chinese tradition didn't fade away, but grew more and more stable, even combined with Taoist theory, and is still working today. Let me ask you something. You ever walked into a room and just felt wrong? Like something was off, but you couldn't explain it? Fengshui has had an answer to that for 3,000 years. Most Americans hear Feng Shui and think rich lady rearranging crystals, superstition, vibes. But Streetwear Was mysticism, and here's what Feng Shui actually is: a system for optimizing the flow of energy through a physical space, light, air, slight lines, and psychological effects of object placement on the human nervous system, and it could influence much more than interior decoration. In Korean movie Exuma, a hidden Japanese iron coffin was driven into the soil as a special sport to commemorate an entire nation's fate. This is 厌胜之术, witchcraft of separation in Feng Shui. And all casinos in Macau follow the greatest Feng Shui design principles. For example, the Grand Lisboa is like a big bird cage with a tiger mouth-shaped entrance. Once you enter the casino, your money will be eaten by the tiger, and you cannot take it away, and you will be trapped in the birdcage, cannot find a way to leave, but just gamble in that cage. And if Taoists could handle the fate of a nation, what about the fate of individuals? Taoist divination, fortune telling, astrology, the whole system is the only point where things get complicated. Do you remember I Ching? The most important function of it is actually fortune telling. This system has been used continuously for over 3,000 years. It's not just we have found love. It's a structured probabilistic framework for decision-making and uncertainty. Technically, our dimension of time, year, months, day, and moment, could be converted into 4 pillars, 8 characters. For example, I'm recording this video at 15:30, 11th July 2026, which could be converted into 丙午乙未丙戌丙申. It's called 八字, literally 8 characters. And that's how your birth moment decides your whole life. For example, Michael Jackson was born in August 29th, 1958, with a day period of earth metal, 戊申. His physical output, like dance and music, was unparalleled, but his hidden, devouring all inclusive toxic medication energy triggered a fatal system crash in 2009, which is heavy Earth or burial year. And Elon Musk was born in June 28th, 1971, whose code is overloaded with fire, stands for innovation and tech. His day pillar, wooden earth, 甲戌, forces his wooden element to surrender to raging fire. From the real, follow the child matrix, 从而格, meaning that he must create relentlessly or face self-destruction. And also, anti-establishment hacker, 伤官见官, makes him a born protester to rules, system, and government. Better way is having too many kids and anti-establishment or pro-establishment. With his 八字, we could also do some predictions. It's highly possible to face sovereign collisions in 2027 or 2028. Anti-establishment hacker can make you a protester, but also can make you lose much to the system. 2027 and 2028 are peak metal years, which will collide with Musk's 八字. The events may be intense geopolitical and legal standoffs. Expect massive regulatory clampdowns from global coalitions. This will be a temporary freeze where his projects face heavy litigation, forcing him to restructure his corporate hierarchy. And in 2036, there are fierce firewood clash, 水火相战. That event may be a sudden forced medical retirement or a major health scare related to the nervous system or heart. He would be forced to hand over his empire to an animatrix or a hand-picked successor. Okay, just for fun. Besides 八字, Taoists also have physiognomy, 相面术, tree observation, 望气术, and other arts about fortune telling. And this is not just superstition. China still has an institution focusing on I Ching called 中国周易协会, and there is even a child influencer going viral in China. Just for he is too familiar with I Ching. That's one. And this one might actually change how you feel about politics. If you are a libertarian, if you believe best government is the smallest government, you have been reading Adam Smith and Hayek and thinking about this is a Western tradition. Meet WALTZ, the author of 道德经, one of the foundational texts of Taoism. Writing about 500 BC, he said, "Govern a great nation as you would cook a small fish," meaning carefully, minimally, without overhandling. He described his ideal society, 小国寡民, small country with few people, as one of small, self-sufficient communities where people live and die without needing to venture far. Though, where government is really invisible, and where the ruler who does least is most effective. This is usually viewed as one of the earliest concepts of anarchy or utopia, even much earlier than 1516, the year when the word utopia was invented. This is not liberalism nor conservatism. This is a 2,500-year-old Chinese philosopher, independently arriving at something closer to Zarya, Kropotkin, and raw power than anything the Chinese Communist Party would like to acknowledge. The founding text of the world's largest one-party state was written by a man who thought government should basically leave you alone. History has a sense of humor. So, what do you think of his idea? Do you think dividing every country into small and separated parts and collect them only by internet is a cue to our chaotic 21st century? I'd like to hear your opinion and recommend to subscribe for more videos and about bizarre but real China.